is about to lose its tiny electronic mind. So many street passes.
Oh God.
So good. Who here watches Good Game? Say yeah. Who here doesn't know what Good Game is? Say yeah. Who doesn't know where the hell they are? Say yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, as you can see, the entire cast are here, and yes, we are better looking in real life. Stop going on about it. I've prepared a quick piece to warm you all up. I've been looking at the GTA 5 gameplay trailer that came out, and I've compiled my top 10 favorite comments underneath that trailer. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes!
On a count of 3, I'm going to get you all to do a Mario Wahoo! Count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Very good. I know who to call if anyone gets stolen by a gigantic space turtle. My top 10 favorite comments underneath the GTA 5 gameplay trailer. The graphics suck, COD for the win. I seen this trailer 2 days ago, noobs. GTA 4 sold well because people didn't get the word that it sucked on time. This better have flippin' Mexicans. It ain't LA without flippin' Mexicans. People who dislike this are retarquid. No, can't read that one either. Yes, I'm fanboy. You are just fan of boy. It's very important for this to have next generation fish that move out of the way when you get close. Otherwise, I ain't interested. I think you are so dumb. By the way, is your profile photo Young from Street Fighter? And don't stick your thumb up my ass, I like women. I think that's as rude as we can get on this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to be able to introduce you to these incredible human beings who are going to answer your questions today. Could you please welcome a hirsute brother repping the beard on TV? Give it up for Goose. This next person could have done anything she wanted on television and decided to bring this to your screens in 2 formats for 2 generations. The genius behind Spawn Point and Good Game. Please give it up for Janet Carr. Our next face is familiar to you. Please, could you give it up for a cross between Crichton from Red Dwarf and James Bond? Go nuts for Bajo! And now, someone with so much geek cred, their name not only is short for hexadecimal, it is also the tile on a tabletop game. Please welcome Hex! And unfortunately, Darren couldn't be with us. He is on holiday with the Master Chief. They are sunbathing on the silent cartographer level of the HD remake of Halo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of your road. My name is Dave Callan. I have the honor of being able to contribute to this program. Thank you. So I've got a question loaded in the chamber in case nobody wants to kick off right away, so I'll throw it over to you straight away because we do only have half an hour. I reckon this could go for an hour easily in a venue 8 times as large. Yeah. So sold out 2 hours ago. Thank you for being the few that made it into this wonderful venue to have this wonderful Q&A. Can I have the first question, please?
Okay, so
yes.
People are going to come down.
Oh, yep. Right. Okay. To avoid a stampede, the person who put their hand up there, why don't you come on forward? Hello. Oh, 2 fists in the air. Yep. You can come on forward.
We haven't done this before.
Yes.
Don't worry, I have.
Excellent. Should I get 2 more people just to?
Yes.
Yeah. 2 more questions. Yep. You can come forward. 3rd question. There you go with the burgundy top on. You can come forward. We'll get a few more later, but that'll do for now. Yes.
Hi, I'm Karen. My question is, are you ever thinking about making a good game 1 hour long instead of half an hour?
Admire your enthusiasm. I don't think there's enough of our brains to do because we do an hour now with Spawn Point almost, and with Pocket, and we're so at the brim of how much time we have to play all these games and review them and shoot the show and everything. An hour would kill us, I think. Maybe.
We'd have to recruit like more people, I think, and and we'd need the money to do that. But yeah, it comes down to I guess the games. It's not like a film review show where a film is 2 hours long. You know, some of these games are so long. To be able to play as many games as we can in a week to fit into half an hour of television. You know, to extend that to an hour, well, it would be hectic.
Plus, when they're good, I kind of keep playing them, and then it's hours before deadline.
Every time we do like a 1 hour special or something, we could have come out the other side of it being like, never again.
I think television has that. It's got a sort of weird sort of physics to it, where it isn't. You would think just make another 5 minutes is the same as making the first 5 minutes. It isn't, because you have to start thinking about pacing and what you're going to put in between it, and where your intros are, and where you're going to remind people in the middle what they're actually watching, and all that kind of stuff. So as much as we hate leaving things on the cutting room floor, and we do every week, we usually record we have about a 35-minute show, and we have to get it down to 29.
Most of my jokes.
20, yeah. But once we've cut those lame jokes out.
I love your jokes.
Actually, we always do. So I think it's a big ask doing an hour a week.
I just thought there must have been a lot of cutting room floor.
Hello everyone, by the way. Hello. I feel like we should say hello. Hi. Hi, Bajo. Thank you for coming. I'm surprised anyone wants to ever talk to me in general, but you're all here to talk to us. It's completely honouring. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue with the questions.
This question's from my fiancée, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. She asked me to direct it specifically to Hex and Janet, although of course everyone can comment. How do you perceive the game industry's attitudes and behaviours towards women, and specifically the gaming community, and which direction do you see that going?
I think for me personally, I feel really fortunate to have had a really positive experience. I mean, when I first started, I encountered a few issues, but it was sort of resolved really quickly once I just sort of started to be myself, I suppose. In terms of online gaming and things like that, you always encounter a little bit of stuff from people, but mostly I just game with my friends. Certainly within the industry itself, you know, all my sort of peers in the industry treat me just like any other, you know, games journalist. I've never encountered any issue like that. In my own workplace, on my team, I mean, my producer's a woman, so it's not like that's ever been a problem for me. So I really think that we're making great strides, personally. I think, you know, there's still a lot of issues in terms of the way that women are portrayed in games. I think that's kind of the area we need to be looking at most, rather than really putting a lot of focus on the negativity surrounding, you know, the way women are treated in online forums. Because I think, while that's an important issue, sorry, I'm going in all these different directions. While it's an important issue, I think, you know, there's lots of things that you can do. You can protect yourself by just blocking people, or, you know, just, you know, avoiding those, because you'll always encounter people like that in life, let alone online gaming. So, I don't know. I'm really excited to be in this industry, so I don't want to focus on that kind of negative stuff so much. I have plenty of other women as well in the industry that I'm getting to meet now and work with, and I just find it really exciting. And the gender issue for me is less and less of a big deal. So yeah.
I guess I feel like the time is coming when we are going to have to sort of be a little bit more of an advocate for the fair and equal representation of women, both in the games that we play and in the developers behind it. I mean, I think, you know, there is a little bit to be said for boys making games for boys. And I think particularly, I didn't really feel like that when I was, for most of my gaming life, because I've been such a hardcore gamer myself and never thought that had anything to do with being a woman. But as I've developed, as we've made Spawn Point, and I have seen the thousands upon thousands of emails that come into that program, and I do think a lot of it has to do with Steph being on the program as well, with Hex being there as well, because the girls, they don't think of themselves, oh, I'm a girl gamer. They're just gamers. And I personally, my only worry about it is what are we going to be able to tell those 16, 17, 18-year-old girls who think of themselves as just gamers? No, I'm not a boy or girl gamer. What are they going to play? Are they really going to go and want to play shooters? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. There's quite a lot of shooters though, isn't there?
I'd like to see a female character in Battlefield though.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think we would start to see more of that once we start to see more female game developers. And I think that just sort of, I don't know if it just needs to start more at a school level. At least when I was at school, there weren't a lot of girls that were interested in studying programming or anything to do with IT or computing or things like that. It just wasn't a thing that girls were sort of guided towards or encouraged into. And I think once we see more of a shift in that direction, we see more, you know, and we went to E3 this year, and I mean, how many of the developers did we interview that were women? Three out of close to 50 interviews. Yeah.
And what about the games? I mean, if you look at the games that were announced at E3 this year, the only female lead in any of these games that I can remember, I'm sure there's a few, but from watching the press conferences at 3 a.m. with my cats, it was like Mirror's Edge 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's so deeply rooted. I feel like gaming has come from a really juvenile place. And that's evolved, and we've moved past a lot of that. You know, we're starting to see really smart. They can still be fun and juvenile in a fun way, like Bulletstorm, but it's done right in the right kind of comedy. But we've moved past a lot of that kind of Duke Nukem phase, I think, now generally. But this is still something that's taking so long to catch up. I think there are things making progress, but it's so slow. And Janet and Hex are right. You know, it need developers, female developers in there, in positions of you know, creative importance to make these games, because
input into the storyline.
You always, I love what you always say when you say there's this army of girls.
Yeah,
you know,
they're coming.
And they're coming, and they're gamers now, and they're young, and when they get to my age, or even when they get to 20, what's going to be for them? You know.
Yeah. Well, David Cage, who's the brain behind Beyond and Heavy Rain.
You're a bit in love with David Cage, aren't you?
I'm actually more than a bit in love with David Cage. But he says, and these are his words, not mine, he says that women need more than to just be able to jump and shoot. Women need to actually be able to...
Not always, but
well,
sometimes.
but they need
Don't mind
emotional
jumping and
attachment,
shooting.
they need engagement, they need strong storylines, compelling characters. You need to have an emotional attachment to the experience to pull them through. I hear you. And don't the figures show that as well? You know, when the developers know that and they get a top-selling game, you know, that's how, as gamers, we prove to them that that's what we want.
Yay for femship.
Femship, yeah.
Yeah, her voice is so much better as well. Oh, Normal Shep. I'm not a fan of Normal Shepherd while we're talking about it. I think it's just boring. Don't you agree? Femship is much better, right? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Thank you.
While we're getting the third question, I just thought I'd get three more to come up. So can I see some hands? Yep, you can come up. Two more. Yep.
There's a lot of people over there in the dark.
And one more. Yes, that hand there in the middle of the room. Yes, waving. Yep. And the third question.
Hi guys. Look, my husband and I watch pretty much every week, and my question dovetails very nicely to the previous one, which is that as part of a broader mainstream culture, I think gaming has become more and more acceptable in terms of a very, very broad audience base, and I think that shows like Good Game and so on really help to put gaming in the mainstream consciousness where perhaps it wasn't before. I'm a school teacher and I see a lot of the kids. I'm a high school teacher, so they go to parties and stuff and they game as part of just the natural social interaction that they're doing. How do you think that might actually develop the role of the gamer in broader society over sort of, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years?
How will our show?
Your show, but also like just the fact that gaming is becoming less and less of a niche thing and much more mainstream.
Well, I have an opinion on this. I just thought hello everyone.
He speaks.
Hello. I think it's a really interesting point because it's one of those things that I feel it's really cool that someone my age, I'm sort of 27, and it's one of those things that we're one of the first few generations to have this kind of quality of game growing up, and to the point that this is a new thing to see people playing games at my age still, at 30, 35, people are growing up with some really quality games that they are the norm now. It's not strange. It's not strange to see people at a party just, crack out an Xbox or something and be like, hey, let's all do this.
They're so good now, games. Pitfall never ended. It's hard. Bad memories. It's just like, you didn't have Pitfall. Stupid crocodile. Sorry, guys.
No, I completely agree.
The elder gamers, as in the grey gamers.
Yes. Oh, I'm not just, I'm including them as well, but I think what your point is that it's going to be really interesting to see this kind of wave of, don't think any of us can predict what's going to happen, but it is great to see it just become so much more, normal is such a bad word, but just so much more just regular. It's something that everyone does now, and I think there should be heaps more of it.
I remember when I started playing games, it was just words. It wasn't even words with friends, it was just words on your own. Just typing "Go West." Zord for the win!
Yeah, I think too, not just the quality of games, but the types of games that we're getting, it's appealing to a broader market. And I don't like to use the word casual, but there's a lot more of the kinds of games that people have, I guess, that are more accessible to people, like mobile gaming or party games and things like that, that are kind of pulling away this idea that games are something that are really technical and for only a certain type of people. It kind of eases people into thinking. They think, well, if I can play this on my phone, then maybe I can play this on PC, and then that kind of sends them down the rabbit holes.
Didn't you say the other day, someone came up to you and said, you don't look like a gamer? And you're like, what does a gamer
it's because I was joining the gym, so the guy was just like, sitting by the desk, It's always that weird thing where, because you have to fill out in a form what do you do for a living, and I don't want to put television, so I just put video game reviewer, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a cool job, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool, and they're like, you don't look like you play video games, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to look like?
I always write dinosaur expert.
That has a name. It's
I know, but I think it's funny. I think we really
dinosaur expert.
Plants dress up. But I think we've got a lot to thank the Wii and Guitar Hero for, personally. Yeah. As lame as the Wii is now, in fairness, the last few years of the Wii, they didn't release any games. Release some games, and I will not call you lame, but they released no games in the last 2 or 3 years.
Release a few for the Wii U while you're at it. I
think. With Xenoblade Chronicles as an exception, but I think we've got a lot to thank for the Wii because kids could just pick that up and do that, and they see it, and it worked, and they understood it, and it opened the door for a lot of people who thought games were, as you say, very niche. And I think Guitar Hero as well just kind of inspired that party thing, and now it's evolving into different types of party games. But I'll stop now because I think we've talked quite a lot on this one.
Thank you. We got a next question.
Hello.
Hi.
I guess not as deep as those. The questions for Spawn Point. Who picks them, and how many takes do they take to record?
You mean the spawnlings who come on, or when these guys?
Oh, who picks the questions to end, the
Oh,
questions
yeah.
that we answer? It's mostly Joe who picks the questions, right?
There he is.
is.
Stand up.
Stand up, Joe.
That's Joe. Let's go. First on the show. Round of applause for Joe.
Dog's been with us.
That's not his only job, but
Stand up most of the show.
Stand up.
Oh, so that,
It's
free.
LNG over there.
She gets shot.
We get a bit off track with the spawn point questions sometimes. It doesn't take that many takes actually, because it's the most fun I have on the show personally, doing spawn point. Just especially trying to troll X as much as possible wherever I can.
we always rock up to the spawn point desk, and Bajo usually has some kind of prop that he's brought with him, like, or he just pulls it out of like somewhere. And I'm like, what's going to happen today? And he's like, oh, never mind, it's just going to. And then inevitably it comes out, and we do heaps and heaps of takes, and a lot of the time because I lose it so much. It's one of the great joys of my job that we get to laugh and have so much fun when we're recording. But yeah, it does make for lots and lots of takes.
And the direction to the camera operators is never, ever, ever button off. Turn the camera off. Just keep it rolling, because often the gold comes. You think, oh, okay, we're on to the letter now. Nah.
And often there's not much gold. It's more of a bronze or an obtainium.
Apparently, Kerry O'Brien has wind of the fact that he features on Spawn Point quite regularly via the telephone. He's going to come on.
I got to say, my favourite part is still watching when the question gets finished, or when Hex announces where they're from and gives a funny name of a location. You watch Bajo's eyes, and his mind is racing for the strangest thing he can do. And occasionally they just go to the footage, so he's like, and then just cuts to gameplay.
That's the bronze I was talking about.
Yeah. I feel like his fallback is always something to do with sandwiches.
Or French Perth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to the next question.
Love the show. The multi-format of your show allows you to appeal to a real great cross-section, but where are the boundaries in what you can show and what you can talk about with each of the formats?
Okay, well, I mean, there are formats that are guidelines that are set down, broadcast guidelines that we have to follow, and they are determined by time slot. Good Game can be rated up to M. Spawn Point can only be rated G, and Pocket Edition can be rated PG. So that pretty much, determines to a large extent what the extent of. Are you asking really about the sort of the violence and that kind of stuff? Yeah, how far we can go with that. So that really limits us to a certain extent. We can, we can push it as far as we like, and we do have a wonderful classification department at the ABC, and they will come and sit and watch something and help us. You'll notice with the Mortal Kombat review that we did earlier this year, we had real problems with that. The game had been refused classification. Finally, it got in as an R18. We're an M-rated show. And I don't know if you remember how we got around it a little bit, but Stephen did a particularly, Next did a fantastic recreation.
I just wanted to bring in my figurines. So that was a way to bring in some of them.
And there was some inventive tomato sauce. And then if you actually look at the footage, we ended up having to use characters that had blue blood.
Robots and green blood.
It was hard because we were trying to talk about something that was quite affecting in terms of the violence, but then we couldn't show the violence, so it kind of ended up looking almost like we were making a big deal out of nothing. But
it's hard to have foresight for that. I think if we did that in a review again, we would say we can't. It's hard to. We'd say that very thing. I think.
And we do argue. I mean, we go into bat and say, look, we have to be. If the violence is really extreme in this game, then we are beholden to talk about that. And so, there is a little bit of leeway.
Our editors are very good.
They are, yeah.
And they cut away just before the bullet hits sometimes, little things like that to help us get through.
And with the multi-platform aspect of it, is it it's the same with what we put up on YouTube and things like that as well? Because I noticed in the Last of Us review there was some language that was taken out and stuff like that.
Online, it's basically it's a little bit of an open slather, unfortunately, and we do our best. We put things up ahead of warnings and the ratings boxes up on the footage and that kind of stuff. So yeah, occasionally we will adapt something for online. Try not to.
Okay.
The first question doesn't bode very well for my question, so I kind of have to change it to: would you like to do Good Game Tabletop Edition? And could I ask for, could you just give a quick, what kind of board games or your favourite board game along the table?
Oh, man. I played Battlestar Galactica recently, which was awesome, with the Pegasus expansion, so that was really cool. And what's the one we play with Dave and Sal all the time? Old
The-
80s one.
The thing with the talisman.
Talisman!
It takes so long to play though. By the last 4 hours, I'm like, I just lose. It's fine. But you play board games as well, don't you, Goose?
Not at all.
You don't?
Actually, no. Yeah, I'm probably least experienced, but I was checking out the Magic the Gathering sort of setup that was set up out there with the Learn to Play and everything, and I'm pretty sure I might give that a go at some stage. But we also tried.
You can get a free.
I have a free little pack. That's done exactly the right thing. But we played Uncharted 2, the board game, and I'm like, this is going to be a fun little weekend.
You were so excited about
I know.
that.
I thought it was cool, and I was like, oh, this would be a great game to play over the weekend. It'll just be like stupid little card game. I sat down, it's like. Dropped the manual, it just landed on the desk, and I'm like, right, page 1. It's like, get out all your cards. I'm just lying there. It's essentially, it was kind of like a Magic the Gathering game, but with an Uncharted skin on it.
I guess I was just expecting, you know, when you think about Uncharted and the excitement that video game brings, you know.
It's gonna be like, hang on to ledge. And you know,
like, to be like,
every card would just be like, no, and then something would break, and that was it. But no. It was not. It was this like incredible game I glazed over, and I think we played cat version Monopoly in the end. So
it's called Catopoly.
And
it's amazing.
My favourite board game of all time was when I was a kid. I played a lot of Heroes Quest. Heroes Quest. The McDonald's of tabletop, I guess, is a way of thinking about. I don't know. I don't know. I don't play much tabletop, very little. But I loved Heroes Quest, and I'm often berated for my love of it. But I just loved painting. I painted all the stupid little figurines because they weren't great quality. It's nothing like the stuff you see today. But I just loved all the expansions and go around the dungeons and then after that I got like all these books and I'm throwing dice on the bus, you know, on my book, trying to play those kind of almost choose your own adventures, but they weren't. That's kind of my experience with tabletop. But I really want to sit down and do a proper Dungeons and Dragons thing and explore how that connects with gaming and in a more interesting, in a deeper way than we have before.
Knowing you and your penchant for shenanigans, I would be really nervous at being in a party with you.
I think it was.
Dragons would be hilarious, and you know it.
Yeah.
Penchant for shenanigans is the best phrase I've heard. That's great. I've been playing Resistance, and now all of my friends hate each other so much. Look, it's just about to go half past. Do we have time for one more?
No. I think we can go for the full hour, can't we?
A full hour?
I think so.
Does this go for a full hour?
Yeah. It's like.
Is there anyone after?
Have you got a gig, Dave? Have you got a
No, I'm good. This is awesome if this goes for another half hour.
All the PAX organisers are really nervously looking around now, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get 3 more before the next question. Can we use some hands, please? I'm going to move to this
Speed
one.
round these ones.
Yeah, you too. And then another hand, please, for another question. Yes, you over there. Come forward. Right, question number 6.
Hello. I was just wondering what you would probably suggest for people who are wanting to get into gaming journalism, and also have you found that now that gaming is essentially kind of your job, has it really affected how fun it is for you, or is it sort of more become like a chore?
It's even more fun. We're just exposed to all these, we were just about this the other day, all these genres, you know. Like, I've never played JRPGs until I started on the show, really, or I never enjoyed them, and now I've kind of found love with that, and I always kind of liked racing games, but now I'll happily sit down with Forza and play that for 4 days straight, you know. Just a love for all these genres. Yeah.
There's something kind of wonderful about the occasional lucky dip as well. Like, you know, obviously there's certain AAA titles that we're all kind of watching the progress of and really excited, and we all, you know, tussle over who gets to review it and, you know, take carriage in that review. And it's, you know, it's really exciting, but every now and again I just get a code and I sort of put it in and I think, well, what's this going to be? And that was my experience with Journey as well. So I had no idea what that was. And you know, it's not the kind of game that I would be scrolling through, you know, on the PlayStation store and being like, oh yeah, I'll play that. It was just a code that I put in and suddenly I was in the game. And that experience for me was just unbelievable. But I think in terms of, you know, I'd say maybe it impacts recreational gaming a little bit in terms of the kinds of games you can play. Like games like, and for me, Bajo plays a lot of MMOs still, but I can't play MMOs because they just take up, I can't commit to one game for that amount of time because it just impacts too much on my reviewing time. Every week, you know, we have so many games to play for the show that it's really hard to then kind of fit in however many hours of an MMO as well. So I'd say...
I'm such a sucker for MMOs. I just go hard for like 4 weeks and then I delete it!
Yeah. And you know, I really would one day really want to get back into the MUDs that I used to play, which, you know, the sort of text-based RPGs that I loved playing, you know, when I was sort of 16, 17. But every time I, you know, go to download one of the MUD clients, I think, God, I don't think I could ever really devote the time that I need to be able to play it properly, and that's kind of sad. But then at the same time, I play video games for a living, so it's not.
I think we do get, sorry. Unfortunately, my end of it has been it's spoiled a little bit because we get to watch so much of the footage that, you know, games get spoiled a little bit. So often I was like, don't tell me, I don't want to know, Oh, but we really need to discuss with you. I'm going to handle the ending. I don't want to know.
I think it was, sorry, I think it was the Last of Us review that we did. Almost everyone in the office usually runs up and watches a screening of the episode before it goes ahead, the sound mix, and everyone sits in there and we have a laugh and we enjoy all the, you know, the jokes, and just you kind of watch it again that night, but you've already seen it. The Last of Us sound mix, there's like one guy sitting in there who had to be in there, and everyone else is just, it was like, I'm not watching the review, and then for the week after that, people are coming into the office and they're like, oh, have you got up to the
so much gets spoiled.
It's tough for the editors too, because our editors are all gamers. Like everyone who works in the show, they're all, you know, really passionate gamers. So sometimes even like when we review the game, we record all of our game footage as we play it, and we then go through a log and we'll rename all those files with, you know, whatever boss fight and stuff like that. So sometimes when I'm doing the log for the editor's benefit, like there's a scene that obviously is a massive spoiler that I'm not going to put in the review anyway. So I'll be like, don't watch this one, Andy. Like, you know, spoiler, do not watch.
He was so upset about Bioshock Infinite. He cut that.
He was upset.
To answer your other question though about how to get into the game journalism, I mean, I don't really feel like I'm in a good position to say that because I just played a lot of games and I did a little bit of TV, and then this just all happened magically, instantly. If I were to offer advice, I would say play a lot, of course, and write a lot, and send it to people and ask for honest feedback and opinions about what you're writing, and just get them to be brutally honest. Send it to magazines and websites. If I were you, that's where I would start. But once again, that may not be the best avenue nowadays. Maybe it requires proper study, more study. Yeah.
One thing I find really helpful is working next door Triple J. that worked out really well for me. By the way, just so you know, who has played Last of Us? Say yeah. I almost cosplayed today. I was going to just gaffer tape mushrooms to my face. Just stand in the corner clicking. The other thing I was going to do, I was going to wear a blue velvet suit and a choker with a bird on it and come as masculine Elizabeth. What's that? All 63, what? 63. Real 63. I think, I'm not sure what that reference is to, but let's move on quickly. Hey, got a very quick question for the panel before we take our next 3 questions. Can everyone think of the last non-review game they played? Non-review game? The last one, have you got that?
The last game we played that wasn't for review.
That wasn't, just think of it in your head. And once you've got that, think of the last weapon in that game you used.
Okay.
Have you got that?
Yeah.
Badger, what's your weapon?
It was a robot unicorn in a game called Fist Puncher. You could play as Robot Unicorn, and it had a dash attack. It was a terrible game. And I played like 10 minutes. Said, we're not going to review this one. We'll do something else.
Badger's got a rainbow dash attack. Anyone else remember the last weapon?
I can't remember the name of the weapon, but I've been playing that. Is it Clash of the Titans? I know you and I have talked about this on the iPad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I've been playing a lot of that, but I can't remember the names of the weapon. They were, you know.
Was it like some sort of thing with a chain and a hook on it?
And an eye.
And an eye. Okay, that's brutal. Yep, Hex.
Well, I obviously didn't review it, but I'm still playing, and I'm hoping that there are fans here of DayZ, if there are anyone who plays that at all. That has been the biggest time sink, and I keep finding myself playing that and walking around with a machete and hunting down people. And Bajo will, you know, back me up on this. Using voice chat to creep up behind people and just talk to them quietly as you stand behind them with a machete, and watching them freak out the whole time is like the greatest thing I've ever done, because it quietly gets, as you get close to them, they're like, hello, 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 hello. But Bajo discovered that the headphones have a voice modifier on them as well, so he generally switches over to some kind of incredible troll voice and runs up to them. He can't think of what to say instantly, so just says, "Are you having a nice day?" And we're sitting there listening to him, and he's like, "Guys, just 1 second. Are you having a nice day?" These poor little characters are running. So if you hear someone ask you that in an incredible gruff voice, that's him. Just run. Just run.
Watch out for his machete.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the way you guys are, playing a zombie game and you're fighting other players with a machete. You guys are jerks. Thanks.
I guess it was probably Dragon's Dogma, and I have like several magic bows that I like to use.
Awesome. All right, the reason I ask is that is your weapon for the zombie apocalypse. So everyone's set except, you're set, except Bajo, who's got a rainbow dash attack.
At least I'll be fabulous.
You will die a fabulous zombie. Mine is Mario's Tanduki suit, or whatever it's called, so I'll just... Tanuki suit, so I'll just be the idiot spinning around in a onesie. In a raccoon onesie in the middle of all the zombies.
It's like the cutest zombie apocalypse weapon ever.
I'd love to see what this room would look like if everyone had their weapon.
Oh, that'd be good. All right, this time next year, everyone bring their last weapon.
Don't bring weapons to the convention.
Especially if it's
cardboard interpretations.
Cardboard version. I'm going to bring along a cardboard Tanduki suit.
You can actually get a full-size one. A proper one made.
Getting it done. All right.
Get a wardrobe to whip you up.
Someone's got a birthday present ready.
I'm hairy
We
enough.
will, and I will make him wear it on the show. Should we do that?
Thing was just Dave's ploy to get him wearing a onesie. He loves to dress up.
I will succumb to the peer pressure.
How good are onesies? I love them.
They're good. Unless you're in a zombie apocalypse. Our next question.
Okay, I know you're primarily like games reviewing and you do mix in games news. Would it be possible to see like MLG, IPL, DreamHack being mentioned in your show? Because I'm sure people here, LOL fans, Holland fans, StarCraft fans, Black Ops fans, etc. And I'm very sure we'd all like to see more esports coming to Australia. What are your thoughts?
Esports is always tough because we don't play the game enough to be in the league ourselves, of course, but also that it means we struggle to talk about it sometimes because we're not in the scene, and it's such an intense thing that these people do, these esports. It's a proper sporting thing, and they're so hard to shoot as well.
They are. That's what I was going to say. We would love to do more esports. Let me just say that we would. The trouble is they're really hard to organise. They are, and we need lots and lots of pictures, and we need someone to explain what's going on because as a core gamer playing that game, you understand what's going on. But you've got to remember this is a national program, and a lot of people out there don't. So how are we going to explain what's actually happening in the game? Now, we have tried it in the past, and we've had sort of commentators like they do in normal real-life sport, and that's been moderately successful, but it is so resource-heavy. And we really have to make it something, right, we're going to do that, and we have got something coming up next week, haven't we? It's not e-sport by any means.
It's pretty high caliber.
We recognise that Dota 2 is an incredibly complex game. Now that it's out of beta, we actually got some help some people, some experts to come in and show us the ropes a little bit. It's the best LAN party ever. But like that was...
How many minutes of footage did you shoot to get 5 people's point of views in a game to capture the main parts?
It's really, Janice is really resource heavy. Like that was almost like a double week for everyone who was on that particular project, and it's really a matter of resources and time.
It's something we could maybe do some kind of like a special or another story on or something like that in the future. But
it's totally one of those things as well. Just to add that I think the internet is an amazing resource to watch those kind of events happening as well. You can have the live commentary. Games like Blops have the in-game. I think it's like a mode where you can sort of commentate or record the matches and rewatch them. In terms of television for half an hour, to get those matches in, they run for so long, and there's like even a cut-down version of them. I think it's just being able to watch it when you want on the internet, that kind of thing. It does it so much better as well. Not to say that we, as we do this fabulous LAN party as well with pizza and everything involved. But in terms of being able to watch it like that, I think it's such a great way to watch it now that maybe it's not the perfect format for it. So we try to get around it the way we do.
We do wrestle with it, and I would say to the esports community, please, please, please get in touch. Let us know when you're doing stuff, and we can think about how we can best come and cover it. And we really do love talking to people on the show, as you can tell. We do lots and lots of interviews, so when we can get to those really excellent players, we do love to do feature pieces.
Yes. So it's not for lacking of wanting to do it, it's finding the way to do it that is difficult. Yeah. We're still working on it, I guess.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nice question.
G'day.
You look awesome.
I do look awesome. Thanks. So, started with Good Game, and then moved on to Spawn Point, and now there's Pocket Edition. What's the future direction of Good Game?
Well, I mean, the ABC, I have to say, the support we get from the ABC is, I think we've won that battle. I think when we started, we were seen as niche, and
we were declared a sub.
We were a sub-genre, appealing to a certain, weird, little subgroup of people who really ABC didn't really want anyway. But that's completely changed. I think we are seen as very much as part of the gaming community, and the ABC wants to be in that spot. So I think the really good news is that the future of the show, oh my God, she says, I can't say this 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that we're safe. Because every year, shows go up for recommissioning, and you see, some shows disappeared. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to be around for at least next year.
Thanks.
We're going to get 3 more questions before we end this one. All right, with the hand up over there, come on forward. What else have we got? You over there. And the person behind you. Awesome. And your question.
So last year we got an R rating in Australia.
Good job, sensible people.
Yeah. It's pretty useless.
So, like this guy just said, Saints Row 4 has been refused classification, which I believe is rightly so for the content. What do you guys think about the censorship around R rating and the way that people have reacted to it?
I think a lot of people thought that when we got the R rating, it would mean that all games would be allowed into Australia and would be classified, but that was never the case. It simply meant that a higher impact of violence would be allowed in video games. So that was kind of just lifting our violence level from here to here. It still has really strong guidelines surrounding themes of sexual violence and drug use specifically. And those two things, I think rightly so, we do have to be quite careful about. And if a game is, pushing that a little bit too far, particularly, there's ways to show obviously sexual aggression within the context of a serious story or something like that. But when it's not justified by the context, that's when it becomes an issue. And personally, I think that's really important. I'm not, I really want to play Saints Row. I really want that game to get classified. But if it means that I can't anal probe people, I'm okay with that.
You'd make a terrible alien.
I'm sorry, Matt. I think it's interesting as well that when everyone first heard, I know at least I first heard the news that it was going to be refused classification, but we didn't exactly know what it was for, and so everyone got in an uproar about it, and that's fair enough, very passionate community gamers, so, but then as the information started to trickle out, they were like, well, was it because of, it was an alien probe weapon that goes up the, oh, okay, well, maybe that was a pivotal part of this, no, it was just you do it to people on the street, and then people started to go, oh, I shouldn't have got so really angry at the start, that kind of makes sense, and I think, we're all rational people who understand that, as Steph said, that's, if it's not integral to how you're meant to play the game, I mean, it is a wacky game, that makes sense, but in that case, I think it was completely justified.
I mean, everyone has a different taste level, obviously, and different, kind of humour. And I understand the intention behind putting something like that in a game, and I'm sure it wasn't meant to be like malicious in any way. But there is a kind of a line, and you have to sort of be able to draw that somewhere in terms of what we want gamers to be playing and what we want to be part of video game culture. And I just think randomly anal probing civilians isn't necessarily something that we should be like, yeah, championing. Like,
it's hard, isn't it? Because
this isn't what the community should be really getting behind.
But I think it really speaks to these people. So, one of the other comments in here was, who else hopes strangulation isn't mission related only? What is wrong with people?
Yes, I think people are being very vocal because it's not understanding the context. And we don't truly understand the context yet because we haven't seen the game or played it. So I think we have to wait and see, personally. I'm sure when it comes out overseas, we'll see it on YouTube actually what it was. And then we can be angry then if we don't think it was in the right kind of context and the right taste. What I like about Saints Row is they push boundaries, and games should do that. But if it's not funny enough, it's gratuitous. And that's important to keep an eye on.
And that trailer looks pretty wacky already. I think we'll be okay without that. The fact that when we just every time said, alien butt probe, everyone just here just kind of ripple laughed. And like, I'm sure they'll come up with heaps of other stuff in the game that's going to be
yeah, and they
wacky.
have said that they're gonna edit and resubmit. So
fingers crossed.
All right, next question.
Hey, so on the Good Game Spawn point, in your intro, sometimes you spend a lot of time talking about nubification and lasers. As professionals, how does that make you feel? Also, and kind of on the back of that, if to expand Good Game, you had to choose between hosting the main show or Spawn Point and giving the other one to someone else, which one would you choose?
Can I just say something here? Sorry. If you actually think about the television presenters, I'm going to be praising you guys here.
Go ahead.
There isn't too many. Maybe David Attenborough, people like that who can actually span and have credibility with, the spawnlings and go right through to the end of Good Game. And I think it's pretty special. And thanks, guys.
Thank you. I love doing the kids show so much because I'm a pretty silly guy, and getting to do the silly and then go super silly in the kids show is wonderful. What was your first question again?
You have to choose. You have to choose.
No, before that one.
How do you feel about talking about nubification?
It's a conflict because I was once a noob. Everyone was, but I'm not now, and so I need to shun the noobs. But just until they've kind of worked it out, and then welcome them. And the lasering, lasers are cool. That's how I feel about that. How do you feel about noobs and lasers?
I mean, I think that it's an integral part of the show, and it'll always be a core topic for discussion. In terms of, I mean, I really would hate to ever have to be in the position to choose, because you really get to live out two sides of yourself, I suppose, with the two shows. With Good Game, Adult Good Game, obviously those, it deals with games that we get really passionate about and that we really love to play and deal with really mature issues and content and things like that. And that's really exciting to critique and discuss. And obviously also when we have conversations with viewers and things like that about that, we can get in heated arguments and stuff about how we felt about certain things within the games. And that's really fun to be able to do that. But then on the flip side, we have Spawn Point, where we have this amazing audience of kids who just, they aren't really cynical or sarcastic, they just love everything. And they're just so open and honest about that love for games. And it's really exciting when you have kids come up to you in the street and they just want to talk to you about, some specific detail of some Pokemon that, and it's really exciting to get that from them as well, and to be able to be a little bit sillier and a bit freer on the show. And yeah, so you kind of have this sort of dual aspect of gaming culture that we both get to live out across both shows, and it would be really sad to have to give one of those up.
It definitely adds to the sort of the spirit in the office as well, because I mean, I'm sort of telling the translated stories of what happens, but you're sitting in the office typing on a computer, and then Bajo walks past in a Tarzan outfit, sits down, and then Steph comes in some kind of like Mohegan or like, and sits down and just goes, "Morning," and just starts smiling. And you got to smile there and think like, this is a pretty cool job, and to be able to do that, it raises spirits all the time, and I think that's what why we've got so much love for those shows.
The letters are so great. I mean, from both sides. We get these really angry rants from adult gamers who are just like, this is the way I feel, and it's great to see that kind of passion coming from people. And then likewise from kids, they're just so just again honest and simple, and why does this guy have to wear this hat? Because I thought he would have to wear a different hat. And P.S. You guys are awesome, and Darren is a noob. You know, like
terrifying, haunting child voice.
So we also want to with Spawn Point, you know, like as much as it's, yes, we have all of that great fun. You know, I mean, I feel anyway that we do have a bit of a serious mission in that we are trying to make sure that the games kids get to play are good games, and that we, you know, that we can kind of unravel what games do to make you want to play more and more.
And not patronise the kids.
Yeah, and not patronise.
Because I see through that so quickly. They're not interested in being talked down to or you know, spoken to like a kidsy show. You know.
And that there's heaps of really good stuff out there that you can access for free. You don't have to have, you know, a lot of money and all of that, you know, so, yeah.
It's amazing what ends up being fun in kids' games. Like right now, I'm finding myself paying off a mortgage by shaking trees so that furniture falls out.
Those are life lessons, Dave.
Story mode.
Have you tried Kerbal Space Program? Has anyone tried that? I mean, that game, oh my word, I think you have to have a degree in physics to play that.
On the side note, I was in the lift the other day, and David from the movie show came in, and I was in the lift, and I was dressed like a pirate. And it's like, morning. Good morning. And they're my favourite moments.
It's real TV, isn't it?
Hey all.
Hello.
So I'm a teacher, and game-based learning is becoming really, really, really big in the education system. And I know you do a lot of side shows and stuff. You do those segments and things. I was wondering where you see the future of gaming evolving within the classroom is going, and how this could impact, and if there was any chance you'd do like a side version of this or include it somehow, the education within the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done a couple of stories about gamification, especially in the classroom. I think we did one on Spawn Point a few months back as well. And it's a fascinating thing to look at. I'm sure from a teacher's point of view as well, you notice that all the obvious things, kids just switch on and they love it. And it seems to be a really amazing way to get kids involved in that kind of stuff. It's definitely something that we want to continue to go and look back at, because every time we do, it seems that, you know, more and more schools are getting involved with it. You've got more and more cool teachers like yourself who are actually like, you know, at the start it's a bit like, hey kids, let's play games as well. Do we like Math Olympics or something? And the kids just...
Spellcopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Spelling of the dead.
Mathletics.
Okay.
Yeah, they're my favourite spawning letter.
Oh,
are there cheats available from athletics?
But now you've got some really interesting ways that teachers are getting that stuff involved, and I think it's going to be one of those really evolving things that hopefully, you know, more and more classes take involved, and we will continue to check up on them and find out what school you work at, and we'll come and talk to you, kind of thing.
I've even heard amazing stories of, I think Minecraft has become, I don't want to say a problem, but such a problem in schools, like trying to get, you know, kids to stop playing it long enough to do some work and stuff, that some teachers have resorted to sort of saying, okay, we're going to, you know, do this for the lesson, and then for like 10, 15 minutes at the end, you all get to just play Minecraft. Because I think they recognise that the benefits of, I mean, of all the games kids could be playing, Minecraft is a pretty good option. And it employs, obviously, elements of you know, creativity and building and...
Cooperation.
You know, spatial mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So I think people are starting to catch on now that there are games out there that aren't so sort of sinister and that could be incorporated in some way, but it's really hard when you try to develop a game that is educational, that is appealing to kids, because I think they sort of see that what you're trying to do, like, really quickly.
Smell it quick, eh?
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, this is a teaching game.
Which is why Minecraft has actually been so brilliant, and I think, you know, forward-thinking educationists can see that, you know, that kids are being so creative in that, and they're problem solving and all of that, and the attention that they will pay and put into Minecraft, if you only could capture that and apply it to other parts of their lesson. I mean, I know education departments are interested in it. I know the ABC is very much the ABC Splash. They're looking at that as well. I mean, the number one gateway for kids coming into the ABC is through game. So I think it's only going to get better.
Good luck with your class.
I think we've got time for one more.
Yeah, it is about 3 minutes to 7, just so everyone knows.
Great.
We'll wrap up
Let's
after
go
this.
last.
Bit of a lighter question after that one, but I was sort of wondering, now that the generation is wrapping up, could we go along the panel and you could pick something that sort of stood out to you as a defining moment or game from this generation?
I'll go first because I know the one. Mine's actually Red Dead Redemption. Now, I don't like shooters per se. Oh, but there was something about that game, wasn't there? Good story, loved the environment, actually liked the shooting. Oh, yeah, beautiful. It will stay with me for ages and I play it quite often.
What a question. What a generation, though. I mean, this was real freedom with developers in... I mean, we're going to see even more of that next year, of course, but it was really, you know, we no longer are stuck to these short polygons and 2.5D kind of stuff. It was just, it opened the world. I think open world games, for me, the one that I think of the most is another Rockstar one, you know, they make amazing games. It was GTA 4. When that came in the office and we all sat around and we looked at it, you know, it's a game that has its flaws, but it was just phenomenal. I remember, Joe, you and me, we sat there for like an hour just going, so the cars are so pretty, the way they crumple in the world. It was the first living, breathing world, and all these bouncing balls of code working with each other. It was just a masterpiece of complexity and pushing people downstairs just by walking into them. Yes. And just the, you know, driving along with classical music on the sidewalk and all that sort of stuff. I'm kidding. It had this perfect mix of having comedy and something very serious as well. And just, it had an interesting story and dialogue and the motion. That was the defining game for me, really. Just showing a living, breathing, you know, I want to say immersive, but I hate that word, but immersive.
That was my answer.
Oh, was it really GTA 4? I was thinking another one if you like.
I was going to answer quickly and just say probably the progression with storytelling. I mentioned Last of Us and DayZ, and to me it's like those kind of games that have stuck with me. One of them which had a very well-written story that just I couldn't shake out of my head for a week or so afterwards. And on the other side, a game that went, hey, here's no story, you make it up yourself. And the same thing, the stories I know between everyone who I've played it with, it's better than anything I've played in many other games. It's like we had these epic struggles and we had these storylines and we were almost the characters in it, and it was so immersive, and yeah, that's pretty much.
It's such a bonding thing, games like DayZ.
Totally.
You know, we sit down and we still retell stories of the campfire. It turns. I read somewhere, it's not my line. So was Red Dead. We had great times online with that, but the DayZ, I read this online. It's not my line, but it said, you know, it's a game that turns players into storytellers, and I thought that was just beautiful. Beautiful way to describe that game. And Red Dead was amazing as well.
For me, I think this year obviously we've had, because we're wrapping up the generation, we're getting some amazing games. So Tomb Raider and The Last of Us are the two games that really, you know, I guess hit that top point with me this year. But prior to that, I think I kind of just want to give special mention to LA Noire. Like, I know it had its flaws, but it really tried something so new and so different, and it was just, I found it such an exciting, I mean, the world that they created felt really authentic, and it was just so exciting to be sitting down as a detective and trying to search for clues and tells within people's facial expressions, and having the technology to be able to do that. I mean, it just didn't always work the way it was supposed to, but I mean, you know, it was the first of its kind, and I think that was just so exciting, and I really loved it. I played that right through to the end. I couldn't put it down, and so that for me was a really kind of memorable defining point for gaming in this last generation. And then also, I guess, Journey, which I think is just a lovely game to mention because it just shows the kind of flip side. You know, we have these amazing, huge AAA titles, but then none of us could stop talking about this, you know, small, you know, surprise download that just made us all feel so much.
We got really emotional in the office. It's like, did you have a tear? It's like, yeah, it got pretty emotional while I was playing. I found someone, I couldn't find them again, and then they were gone, and we finished a journey together, and it just, everyone in the office got really, really emotional, and it got a bit weird, but yeah.
Mine bugged out the first time I played it, so I got stuck on like a carpet that just flew up into the sky for 5 minutes, so I didn't quite have the emotional experience. I did eventually, but at first like, I can't work, I'm stuck on a carpet. This is a game everyone's raving about. Carpet Rider 7.
It's my number 2, for sure.
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. For me, it's just proven that there is a demand for every game to have 80s DLC. So, games set in the 80s need more of them. That's why I was disappointed when GTA 5 got announced. I'm like, San Andreas, it's Vice City's turn. Don't skip Vice City. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. Can you give it up for the panel? Now, here's the thing. We would love to be able to get photos with you all individually, but we've got to clear out and get ready for the next session in here. So can we get a group photo with all of you? Real quick. So if you guys just want to stay where you are, Bajo and Hex are going to facilitate that right now. And you guys have been amazing. Thank you for making this first ever GGTV such a success.
I'll do burst mode, wait.
Instagram video. Yeah, that's where it's at now.
Can I find mine, or is that not cool?
Yeah.
Mine.
You guys sign stuff? So what, if I, shall I go through it? What we wanted to do was a quick, because you got to ask us some questions, we want to ask you a question, so I thought we would start with hi everyone, and then you would all reply back hi, or however you wish, and then we were going to ask, what are you playing at the moment? And I want, just in the interest of time, all of you to tell me what you're playing right now, all at once. So we're just gonna set up, and we'll Insta video it, and we'll do a normal video, and Goose is gonna Vine it.
So we'll do the hi everyone, hi, and then we'll ask you the question.
Yeah.
In a second.
We can do a couple of takes. It's all right.
All right. Are you ready?
You good? You're good? Yep.
I started recording.
Wait, no, I'm taking a
Wait.
Sorry.
Don't worry then. Question. Since when?
Do us all.
All right. Why don't you do the hi?
Ready?
All right. Ready? Go. Hi everyone.
Hi. What are you playing right now?
It's 6 seconds,
I
man.
ruined it. Okay. Are you gonna keep?
No, because we do it in 2 bursts. I said in 2 blocks.
2 bursts, 2 blocks. See, I can sense what's going on. I was stuck in the middle, so I just went for it.
Do it again.
Here we go again.
1, 2, 3.
We have to do it. Just go from the top again, because Goose has.
Play this every day.
To restart his line.
Discard. Okay, ready?
Okay. Hex is going to run the whole thing.
All right. Hi everyone.
Hi. Everyone's got stop. Goose, why don't you, because you've got the Vine, why don't you yell out?
I'm just
what
writing a comment on it. I'm just going to OMG, loving the panel. Oh, no bars, voted for me. Okay, go again.
What? Oh, it's time for the top again, are we?
Oh,
Just be quiet.
You ask the question, guys.
Okay, and what are you all playing at the moment? Oh, I love that game.
Tell me more.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming out.